Hi guys, start telling you about our event, but I was on mute. So hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Luba, I'm event manager at Intellias. I'm so grateful that you decided to join us today for this awesome webinar. So we're still waiting for others to join in, and I will tell you a bit about Intellias. So interesting projects, international clients, global representations, 8 development centers, and more than 500 open vacancies. That's what Intellias is about. We create unique software solutions for more than 2 billion people with the help of 2,600 specialists on board. And I would suggest you to check our career page and check what you can find for you, all our great opportunities. Now, just a couple of technical issues. You can write your questions in chat, and our speaker will answer them during the Q&A session. Well, basically, that's it from my side. I would like to introduce our speaker, Marta Komarnytska, Senior Delivery Manager at Intellias. Marta, glad you're here, and the word is yours.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Marta Komarnytska, and I am a Senior Delivery Manager, and I've been working in Intellias been more than 5 years now. For the last 1.5, I'm working on a kind of startup product solution from scratch. And in here, I had an experience in this special product. I have an experience all of the sorts of this terminorming performing. And today, I would like to talk with you about how to stay agile and productive under a control pressure and extremely negative circumstances, and how our team manages to stay productive. And let's be honest, in this time, in wartime, in Ukraine. So the next part that I would like to discuss with you the content of my topic. So first of all, I will be short. I will not take all of your time today. My main idea is to give you a pair of theses and discuss it with you then in the Q&A session, because it's much more interesting than just to give you all of the info and content and make you uninterested in that. So we will discuss the Black Swan Theory and why Agile principles fit better. The next one, we will discuss about the panic and composure and how to own your emotions. The third part is what do we do next? Deploy on prod, of course. This is the practical case that I would like to share with you. And the fourth and the last part is responding to change or following a plan. So that being said, let's start. So I do not know if everyone read the book of Nassim Taleb regarding the Black Swan Theory, but I would like to discuss why the Black Swan and Agile works so good in pair. So why we need to understand that? First of all, that we need to understand that Agile has the potential to work better than other approaches, and we already see it. The whole development world, the all software development world works in it. It's the main idea. Because sometimes even when Agile and Scrum and all of the frameworks of Agile, like a Kanban, Less or Scrum works not so properly, but they still fit better and they still works better. Why? Because the Black Swan is a metaphor for events that are totally surprising from the perspective of the observer, but not necessarily necessary from the perspective of the originator. They have major impact and often rationalized after they occurred, as if they could be well predicted. Some Black Swans, according to Taleb, are the invention of the internet, personal computer, 9/11 event, World War I, of the collapse of the Soviet Union, COVID-19, or from the last is the war in Ukraine. Taleb introduces 2 categories in which random events fall: mediocristan and extremistan. Let's dig into that much more deeper. For the mediocristan is an option with a lot of variations without none of them being extreme. Evolution belongs to mediocristan. Tons of genetic mutations are happening all the time, but nobody develops wings overnight. In mediocristan, variation fit into the normal distribution, and no event can have enough impact to change distribution substantially. Most of the time, we think and act as we live in mediocristan. Extremistan, on the other hand, has low variation, with some of them being extreme, fat-tailed events, for example. Therefore, the impact of the Black Swan event are consequential. The world that we humans created, which is business, economy, life, politics, operates in extremistan. But most of our problems are caused by our belief that we live in mediocristan and have safe assumptions, forecasts, or precise plans if it's not our reality. That is why it would be said software engineering, as integral and ever-growing part of the business and economy, also lives in extremistan. By knowing that, we already prepared and we already know how to act. And in this point of view, you understand that point, that we actually fit, that is why Agile fits better. Because whenever you can change and whenever you have this agility in your mind, you can understand how to act. Because it's actually buffers you. It gives you some safe assumptions, even though, as Extremistan said, we cannot do that. We cannot plan it, etc. But knowing that the fact that we cannot plan it, that we cannot precisely count on it, we already prepared. This is the philosophical point of view. But this is the point that I would like you to focus on. Whenever you thinking that you have everything under control, forget about that. And just accept the fact that we live in extremistan and we do not know anything, but we need to stay agile and focused. So now let's think about some events that heavily impact our engineer efforts as adequate arguments regarding the fact that actually Agile and Black Swan are better together. So for example, an important customer requested an immediate feature in the middle of the sprint, or new regulation in a country we end up having customers, or that big customer who pays the majority of the bills is going out the business and are changing their spot. Again, not surprise for the customer, but we are in a shock for a second. Drastic changes in the roadmaps due to heavy deadline. Serious events in the world like shaking the businesses from its core, political instabilities, economic issues, pandemics, war, recession. Could we predict any of those as a member of a company? Probably not. If an event would be perfectly predictable, we could proactively engage them before they even happened. The level of predictability would contract the fact that we live in extremistan. But that is not the case. We indeed must accept that we do not know what we do not know. Moreover, we do not have control on events like that. We can only survive through them, gaining some advantage if we play it properly. On that being said, let's just imagine every one of you, for Scrum Master, Agile coaches, project manager, project coordinators, all of you, you have teams, you lead people, you are their leaders. And it's your responsibility to be prepared even in the main idea of the Black Swan. And it's you who need to prepare everything for them so they would not be in shock. So how we do that? Whenever we claim in events like those mentioned and many others that are more predictable, meaning the software engineer is pretty much a deterministic area, yes? However, it is described as empirical domain rather than deterministic. Agile embraces the unknown exactly like this. does not deny the fact that we cannot know and predict everything. While waterfall-based approaches threat a world as a controlled environment with strong self-esteem and long-term details plan, a lean, agile mind inherently knows that the map is not the territory and position itself to survive through consequential events. Therefore, an agile mind is closer to how the software world actually works, and it's closer to real world actually. So why Ukrainian is so good in embracing the Black Swan? Basically because we live it in from the preschool, starting from rebuilding the country of the Soviet Union, then to revolutions for our freedom, then COVID-19, and finally the boss level is the war for independence with Russia. Still, one of the main ideas that we were living all of these events, and when we were never ready and we were never stable for that part, we always learned how to survive in all of these conditions. We always tried to show our best and to show ourselves and display ourselves as reliable partners that we are. And how we understand that whenever this swan theory, whenever the Black Swan happens, what we understood collectively all together, that we need to embrace it. And we need to understand that what the damage was done, which damage was done, and what consequences of that. Whenever we will understand what the consequences of that event, you will understand how to act to prevent it on the first point. And the second one, you will understand how to fix it. So whenever you embrace all of these consequences, whenever you embrace this Black Swan event, we can either pick a more flexible, opportunistic, customer-oriented approach like lean, agile, or something else that sits on the opposite side of the bar. The cost of the containing damage can skyrocket if we follow the path that inherently rigid in the denial of realities. What you need to do is reduce risks as feasible and appropriate as possible to contain the damage when the risk happens. We prepared and have the flexibility to make course corrections and to react events without losing time. In other words, be agile. Yes, I understand. It's easier to say than, for example, I will give you some examples. Whenever such of the events happened, and I'm giving right now the most traumatic event that we have right now, starting from February 21st, we have a war with Russia. This is the time when my team is more than 55 people. It was located all over Ukraine, in the eastern part, in the south part, in the central part, in the north part, etc. Also together along with the western part. The western part was one of the most safest parts in Ukraine, and still is. But yeah, the half of the team was not able to walk at all. It's like I wake up at 4 a.m. Right now, I remember this. Yes, and the first emotion that every one of us had is like the panic. But you need to own it. You just need to remember, whenever I understood that I am a leader of my team, I need to own myself. I need to understand myself and just stop it. So what works? You waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, from the calls from your relatives, from friends, etc., that in Kyiv, in Kharkiv, etc., that they are being bombed, and you understand that actually your part is a little bit more safe. I'm from Lviv. It's like in the west of Ukraine. We were not bombed, thanks God, that day. So that is why I understood. So, okay, I need to take myself together and I need to act, and really fast. What should I do? What should I do in the perspective of my family, in the perspective of my work? And of course, whenever all of the actions were done for family, we started to think about, I always had ideas about the work, about my team. about our clients, customers, that we have responsibilities before them, for them. So that was done. You really understand that point whenever you understand types of behavior, how you can show your composure. Because as a leader, as a manager, people look at you and you become their light in the end of the tunnel. You showing them that how you behave is actually how they will respond to you. So you need to know how to shift from reactive to proactive frame of mind. In critical moments, the true leader and the manager, as a true leader, as a true manager, you need to be at your best. Manager is frequently a source of stability when others are flustered. You know how to de-escalate emotions and focus on discussion. I remember that I was actually very calm that day because it was helping me to make sensitive issue discussable. And always we need to remember that we prompt a thoughtful attitude and objective perspective. Why was I a little bit calm on that day? Of course, I had a panic, but I needed to own it. So I did that. But as a company, we already were prepared for that. Starting from early October, we prepared and executed an BCP plan. That was done. We counted several scenarios, from the best ones to the worst one. So the worst one happened, and we started to execution the plan. I started to work along with the Intellias people partners to evacuate all of the people that were actually, and all of my developers and teammates that were in those parts that were under the bombing. We evacuate everyone. It was successful operation. Everyone were happy, etc. So we had everyone in the safe place, especially in Lviv, where we have a bomb shelter. And then some of the people were already evacuated to Poland and more European countries. On that being said, it was the idea that we actually had some of the plan, even though we could not control it. We prepared not detail, but few scenarios and few action items on how we will behave. So whenever everything happened, I knew how to act in this time. I knew what to do, where to connect, how to connect. Everyone were alerted. Everyone were working like one mechanism. And this, what you need to remember always, whenever you have something stressful under your govern in your situation, in your environment, you always need to be prepared for the worst, I think. And then you will know how to act whenever it happens, not like the worst. What I understood from my experience and from my colleagues' experience, that first of all, whenever something stressful happens, and it might be COVID, etc. Let's keep it with the name Black Swan. We need to hit pause. If we learned anything from the pandemic, it is to stay calm and carry on. Demonstrate that composure as business accelerates. In times of stress, be the one that hit the pause button and guide people to think clearly and then act decisively. Your composure, hard-won, in hard times will be an asset as you invite people to share challenges in a safe environment and discuss the options. Make it okay for people to share what is difficult. Be the one they turn to for guidance. When you hear about an issue, take a breath and give yourself a moment to regroup. Basically, slow down to speed up. Then, take the long view. Most successful leaders have a bias for action. This bias was dialed up during difficult business year, either because you had to be more agile in downturn, or because business sped up and you had to act. Action is important and can be an overstrength that you can lead to take short-term action at the expense of long-term gains. Ask yourself, what are the potential consequences of this action down the period. Use the power of 10. Instead of thinking on 10 minutes, 10 hours, or 10 weeks, just start thinking what we'll do 10 months or 10 years from now. What action will bring you success in that part of you? This will call up a longer time horizon so you can be strategic and attend the long term. Next, it's very important. All psychologists say this, but examine your emotions. You're also a human being and you need to understand your emotions to be successful. Emotions creates a chain reaction in others. Ask yourself, how am I feeling about this? If you're angry, tired, fatigued, or discouraged, or panicked or frightened, use this emotion. Name them. If you're not, it will have the minor impact of those around you. Because interestingly, but the best way to manage your emotions is to acknowledge them and name them. Experiment with the moving closer to those emotions, not ignoring them. Psychologists tell us that when we approach intense emotions and then back away, it often makes them less powerful. Another proven technique for managing emotions to use humor. Look for the levity and encourage others around you to do the same. Humor prompts us to step back from a situation and reset our emotional buttons, which are severe to broaden our perspectives. That is why whenever you're in the Ukrainian Facebook and TikTok or Instagram, you can see a lot of the memes. Even though we are like living in the frightened situation, we still have so many memes that it's like all the time, and it works. The first day, even we creating the memes with each other, from each other, but this helps us to survive. Okay, I see that there is a question one. I will finish this slide and I think that I will answer that, yeah? Okay, so the next part, whenever you hit pause, you take the long view, like the helicopter view, the 10 months, 10 years, 10 weeks view, you examine your emotions. Next one, recharge. Though many of us haven't been home and traveling less during the global crisis, and especially because of the pandemics, we also work longer hours, spend more time in virtual meetings. We did not have any understanding of our work-life balance at all. And all of this, and we had so many challenges in our work life and in personal life, etc. So driving ahead, working long hours for this amount of time is unsustainable. You must recharge. Put on your own oxygen mask for you first. Don't sacrifice doing things you love. Read, exercise, sleep, eat well, spend time on personal pursuits. Healthy stress management is rooted in physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. If you like your coffee, if you like your cappuccino based on a plant milk, just go and drink that cappuccino. Nothing will fall apart. If you will do that, you actually need to continue to live to be more productive. Whenever you work on that point of view, you're productive for yourself, for your team, for your country, for your company. You actually need to rest. Whenever you rested, you're much more productive. This is like consequential. You need to know that. You need to remember that. And whenever you need to take a pause, just take it. Whenever you need to take a coffee, just go and take it. If you want to have a few days off, just take it. Of course, not when it's like epicenter of all of the situation and when it's like the start of everything, but when it's a few days, when you already have stabilized the situation a little bit, so go and take some few minutes for yourself. This will help you to recharge, and this will help you to actually understand how to act next. And anything will help. Just try this. Let's go now. Sorry. Yeah. So, and of course, sharing wisdom. People need to be together to talk and hear from you in demanding times. I mean, communicate more, not less. Even if you don't know exactly what to say, speak from bottom of your heart. Just just say the truth. Just speak with people, and they will actually really appreciate that. They will be so grateful for that. You cannot even imagine. And this actually will help you more. What we did, we actually created more chats. We had Microsoft Teams, so we working in Microsoft Teams, but just to avoid anything happening, I created a few WhatsApp chats where I added all of my teammates. But we were in one team chat, we were discussing how to evacuate from that or other part, what the addresses, who can help with each other to find where to live, etc. The other chat, we actually were discussing any news that we had, and the third chat is actually for memes. So we always like creating the memes. And we also continue to work 24/7 without any weekends, because we understood that we have our responsibility. But this is a little bit. We will talk about it a bit later. We also discussed. Even though it was like 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning, we still had the courage, we still wanted to wake up that early and discuss and just to call each other and to talk 5 minutes, because we were energizing each other. I was asking how they doing. People were responding to me. I was telling them some news. They were telling me some news. In that hard moment, you always need to understand your team. You always need to be there for your team. You just hear them out. So many people came to me, just talking to me, just describing the problems, etc. And this point, what I can say, why people coming to you. Remember, they will come to you when you will have really professionally good relationships. And to build that relationships, you need to be available whenever you start in the team. So I have my product starting like more than 2 years. It's already going, and it's launched on the production successfully also, and it's already has onboarded new clients, and it works perfectly. We're still working, our team still working on the new features. But my main rule was, whenever I was creating a team, when I was gathering the team, I am making myself available, and my main priority is interviews, because you need to create really cool team. All of us know in this rule, like of storming, norming, and performing, but whenever you know people from the beginning from the start of the project, and whenever you can understand them, and when you went from all of the levels of the interviews, and you heard the answers, and you understand them from technical perspective, from soft skill perspective, you know how to talk with them. That's what will build you more trust between you and your team. That's what will help you, actually, because it's not easy whenever you're not communicating for each other with the team. You do not know the team, just they will not come to you that easily. But when you will take yourself, understand yourself as an artist that starts a new project, a new painting, for example, you always know that you need to choose wisely and always focusing on the best for your project people. And that is why I knew and I know every one of my team. And I understand what they like, what they do not like, what they can speak, who can speak with me, who's more close, but still can communicate with me some way. So this is what I did, and I absolutely can say that those 5 points really works when you can imagine. So on that point, what this is the part about. For me, for us in our processes that build, we work on I can say that we work in some, we really work in agile world. We really have processes on safe. We have this agile safe on in processes in our product, and we have this project that we actually deploy on prod every Thursday. And this is consequential rule. We need to do it. It's no other way. And of course, war started on Thursday. So whenever the part of the team is somewhere in Ukraine, they evacuating, they fleeing from more dangerous parts. And I'm here organizing all of the evacuation, etc. But also I need to focus on the part of the teams that actually can contribute to the project, that actually can do the work, and trying to stay motivated and do them motivated so they could actually contribute to the project too. So that's being done, and I'm getting the question, okay, so everything done, what should we do? Do we deploy on a prod or not? And my answer was, of course, we deploy on prod. It's Thursday. We need to show you your consistency is the key to the success. Our clients, even though they knew what happened in Ukraine, they needed to see that we are consistent, that we are reliable, and how reliable we are. We have our responsibility before them. We need to close that. And of course, we did we deployed on prod, and everything went great. Everything was fine. And even though I knew so many risks might occur, and I did not think about like how we will decide, how we will resolve all of this risk that might happen. But I knew what the main focus is. My main strategy is to continuous delivery for my client, for my customer. I appreciate my customer. I wanted to my customers to appreciate us and really rely on us. Even in this extreme bizarre situation. So this is what we can see, that even though get the work done, but still have fun from that point of view. And whenever team members support each other, you tackle problems and find solution together with your peers. This is what I had in my mind whenever I was talking about the prod. I understood that I repeat myself, it might get so big risk, huge risk I was facing, but I understood that in a perspective, it's better to deploy in prod. So what rules are actually essential for my team, for us? That we satisfy customers through early and continuous delivery. We would not be able to deliver on prod if we would not be testing everything, if we would not be ready to that, and if we would not be absolutely, if we would not understand that everything that we did, that our developers created, is actually satisfying and amazing and works perfectly. The number 2 is welcome change in requirements even late in the project. So yeah, it wasn't quite a change in requirement, but it was the huge change in our work life. But we still did it, we understand it, and this is the principle that we work by. We always prepared for the changes. We always leave the changes in the time and a buffer for changes, just to be sure that something might happen, so we need to act fast. The third one, deliver value frequently. This is what the main idea for managers and for leaders. You need to understand the value that you bring to your customer. When you understand this value, you will be easier to work with. And whenever you understand the business value, especially the business value, you understand from what perspective to work, from what perspective, for example, just to cut off some changes, and what to consult to your client. Just become their business partners, not just simple managers. And the fourth rule is self-organizing teams generate most value. And that's the truth. Our teams are so self-organized. They know the processes just like from scratch. They know everything what to do. In case something happens, whenever I cannot answer, etc., they can decide what to do. We know that, for example, when we do not have tech leads available for PR or something like that, we can we just move on. That's not a problem. Everyone takes active parts in the plannings, in the refinements, in the daily discussion with the customers, with our clients of the product. Everyone is taking part. Everyone is understanding, reading documentation, writing documentation. Everyone is showing the demo. So that is why that's sad that whenever the team is self-organized, whenever the team has the ability to help each other, when the testers can help developers, and etc., you will have the results, and the great results, and the team will be more motivated to work because they will understand the project on 360% view. This is actually continuous improvement from our side. It's like we act, plan, do, and check, and this works absolutely gorgeous way, because sometimes we need experiment continuously. We understand what's not working, what we need to improve, and then we start improving our performance by that. Because we experimented last sprint, we understand what's not right, and then we change it, and we're trying to implement it in our production. Of course, what's the best benefit? Let me check if there are any questions. After I will finish, it's very fast. So, what I understood from our team right now, and was the actually bonuses we got from the war, that we becoming more united than ever. And a united team is victorious team. I was interested in that. I saw how our team is actually motivated, how united that. And I started to read some of the psychological literature about the war. And the first psychologist that investigated war was William James. He wrote the essay, Moral Equivalent of War. Here, James suggested that wherefore was so prevalent because of its positive psychological effects, both on the individual and on society whole. On the social level, war delivers a sense of unity in the face of collective threat. It binds people together, not just an army engaged in the battle, but the whole community, and brings what James referred to as disciplines, a sense of cohesion with communal goals. The war effort inspires individual citizens, not just soldiers, to behave honorably and unselfishly in the service of greater good. On the individual level, one of the positive effects of war is that it makes people feel more alive, alert, and awake. In James' words, it redeems life from flawed degeneration. It supplies meaning and purpose, transcending the monotony of everyday life. As James put it, life seems cast upon a higher plane of power. Wherefore, it also enables the expression of higher human qualities that often lie dormant in ordinary life, such as discipline, courage, unselfishness, and self-sacrifice. And it's actually 100% true. The team started work just amazingly, 24/7, without any weekends, without any. I saw it's like it's at 2 a.m. in the night. They still chatting, something like that, discussing. Have you done that or that? And it was like the first months of that. People were really motivated to do that. People were really motivated to add value, to bring value, because they understand that whenever we bring value, whenever we show ourselves to our partners that we are reliable, that we are responsible, that we are really trustworthy, we help our country actually, because we work in the economy works, everything works. So whenever you put your greater idea, put greater good before you start working absolutely better. No even questions on that point. So on that point, I just wanted to discuss also that traditional agile development values have also parallel change management values. Because whenever even though you work in agile environment and changes and everything changes drastically around you, you still need to respond to this change with a little bit of the plan. That's my change also. But let's talk about agile values and change management values. For example, individuals and interaction over processes and tools in agile. Organizations don't change, individuals do. from change management values. Work in software over comprehensive documentation. But in change management, without adoption and usage, we end up getting solutions without results. We need to, even though we do not need more detailed documentation, it's like books, etc., but we need to document at least something just to know and remember how it worked, what the lesson learned, etc., and to give the essential view. Because sometimes in the end, we will end up with the point in that we do not know why we created that or that feature, and it won't work itself. So, of course, let's not be too dramatic about the documentation, even though we do not like it. If we do not might like it, we still need to do that. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation, my favorite actually, but individual change impacts are what need to be defined and can be managed. And also, responding to a change over following a plan. When enable successful individual change is the key to delivering organizational outcomes. That means that we cannot do one without another. It's like two hands. So, but we always need to find this solution. We need to find this harmony in that world and understand that it's not so. I understand it's easier to say, but it really works. Whenever you prepare, even though not so, whenever you understand that you live in extremistan, that nothing's stable in this world, but you can a little bit try to do something and a little bit prepare yourself and team, it will help you dramatically. Just trust me. On that point of view, on that point, I will finish. And I'm ready to your questions if there are some. I have really two great questions. So the first one, hi Marta, thanks for the presentation. It'd be interesting to hear how you were applying presented techniques in software development projects in your personal experience and what was the result. I do not know if I already answered this in the presentation, but but if we will go back a little bit, whenever I was talking about the recharging, etc., so that's actually what I did. Everything written in here, actually my experience, I relived it. When the worst happened, yeah, my main idea was to continue. First of all, continue to delivering the value for our customer, because as I said, we wanted to stay reliable and show how reliable as partners we are. I understood that this will help not only my company but also my country. Of course, I've talked more with my team. We had so many chats. We have so many, and it's actually why team buildings are great. Just do it with your teams. Absolutely, go with them. Not every week, yes, but for me, it's ended up like my team gathering every week. Everyone they gathered here in office, who is here in Lviv, and they having good time together. They speak to each other. We have so many chats. We just communicating like friends, not more on that point of view. And we just communicating together. We understand the hierarchy. We understand that it's actually the work environment, but still we understand for what goal we work all together. That is why it's much more easier when you work in this environment, when you do not have this toxic environment, etc. You have absolutely friendly and normal environment in which you can actually open about your emotions, because we did. All of us were open about it. We knew that some of us were panicked, some of us were frightened, some of us were really angry, but we all managed this. We all faced our emotions. We took out all of our strengths, and this is what you need to do. Whenever you're a leader in the team, you need to find all of the strengths of your teammates and grow those strengths in them. And that is why they will actually rely on you on a great team, as a great team leader. They will not want to leave from the team and from the project, for example, from the company, because they are heard. First of all, they can grow. They can see that they can grow, and they see the examples from their colleagues. And all of these techniques really work. So just try it. Just try to listen to people. Not every day. Do not do a one-to-ones every day, but just try from that point. Try to listen what actually people bothers about, how they feeling about that or that event. Perhaps someone is frightened. Perhaps someone is feeling not great, and he or she wants to take a pause and just to take today off. Do that. Just listen to them. This will really help you dramatically. Second question, doesn't it lead to burning out, working 24/7? What's your advice on remaining the balance for a team? Yes, working 24/7 leads to burning out. That is why I said it in the past way. We worked like that for 2.5 months, then we stopped. And still no one wanted to take any vacation day offs because everyone was so focused on helping and volunteering for Ukrainian army. And but still, we already asking people to take in some day off, some vacation, just to breathe out, go to Bukovel in Ukraine, for example, etc., just to live, just to feel a little bit of life, because you need to recharge. As I pointed out earlier, yes, you need to recharge. You need to understand that is values of your life, why you're doing that. So this boost and this type of working like 24/7, it will work, but not for a long time. And on that point, you always need to focus on the main idea that this need to be ended. So if you will ever have this, even in the start of this dramatic event, this Black Swan event, and I hope that it will not be happening anymore, but we cannot be safe from that. You always remember that if you will focus on working like 24/7, because you will need to understand the values like in 10 years later, in 10 months or 10 weeks later, you just remember that this also has to end, because as you said, the burning out is really easy. But to avoid that, always give people a break. And what about the statistical data and KPIs? We actually, so whenever we, when we deployed on the prod on that Thursday, 1st of February, on Friday, we had like this ending of the sprint, and from Monday, we had the next one. We still did not have the part of our team, like the 50% of our team were not able to start work from Monday, because the road was very hard. It was very hard. It's really even hard to discuss that, but our velocity did not suffer a lot. It suffered a little bit, but not a lot. It's kind of like if we will talk like our stable, for example, velocity is 50 story points. We just managed to do 38, 37, for example. Yeah, so it's few story points, but still delivered. Fewer story points were not delivered, but most of them were. What would be a major red flag from your management during a tough time? You see, our company is actually very people-oriented, and everything that was done from Intellias side was actually so motivating. We had Intellias evacuated all of the employees from all of the parts of Ukraine, helped them evacuate to Poland, and mostly it was Poland, which we will be grateful for to Poland. If, for example, our leadership, they stayed here in Ukraine, of course, and they helped everyone on the kitchens, in the office. All management, we all had our superior groups that we were communicating and helping each other. So and how to help our teammates, etc. So, for example, if you would see that management did not first of all leaves, and the next one is not helping you and not communicating with you and not coordinating everything together with you along your side, that would be a red flag for me, of course. Thanks God that was not the case, and it actually was so motivating to work with Intellias in that part, because it was something magical happening, even though it was like the worst condition that we could ever have, but it was still amazing. We had buses that were like driving all of the way to Poland. We had so many people in the office that were living there. So we all worked like this in these severe conditions, but we have one value and one big goal, and that helped us, and it's make us even closer. What your mistake during that time, if you had some? I don't think that, I do not know what mistakes I had, considering that when I look to my lessons learned from that time, my mistake was that I woke up at 4 a.m. Yes, and then I went to supermarket buying a lot of food, which wasn't necessary. If we will take about that point from management point of view, I actually cannot say something, because I was there for my people, for my team. But I really cannot say right now, because I don't think that everyone did some mistakes on that point. We were so united, and whenever I felt under the weather, I looked at my teammates and I understood that everything works fine, and that I have team to work for, and I have a company to work for, and my family. So at the beginning, it was like the greatest motivation that you can ever achieve, and that's actually helps you to go forward. And perhaps this, I also had like this point that I did not recharge. I felt that it's not necessary, but then I ended up like really burned out, and I really was frightened. But then it went okay. Everything happens and happens okay. So yeah, results is better right now. And of course, our production were fine. If you about that from technical perspective, everything works fine, everything is good, and we did so many great things after that. So, and we just can say that team is amazing. So, and development is amazing, our customers are amazing, everything is amazing in that part. And my point is just remember, whenever something stressful happens, it always will pass. It always will end. And the main mistake that we may do is believe that nothing will happen. So we just need to remember, relax on that point of view, understand that I achieved that, embrace it, and just live with that. So on that point, if you do not have any more questions, I think that I will say my thank you and have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marta, for such a great message at the end and for sharing your experience and the presentation. I think that we are done with the questions. If you will have any, you can just email us. And I wish you guys having a great evening. Tomorrow I will send you the presentation and the recording. So take care and join our next event. Thank you.
Bye-bye.